All right, class. So after working on the pre-lab and the post-lab for this lab, you will start thinking about the paper. Now, when you do the post-lab, the graph that you will make and the hypothesis, by doing the post-lab, you will actually get a head start on the paper. Now, in a regular semester, you do a presentation, and of course, we don't have the luxury to, get together and listen to our presentations. So you will be writing a paper. There is a rubric that is posted on Canvas for you. I want you to follow the rubric. And if you have any question on that, feel free to talk to me. Now, when is the paper due? The paper is due on June 6th, which is the last day. And try not to exceed 4 pages when you write this paper. Now, there are a few guidelines that I have pointed out. Again, remember that I am mainly looking for your understanding of concepts in this paper. Okay, also a PDF is provided to you on Canvas, which shows you the steps to write a good paper. You can discuss and share ideas with your classmates, but remember you have to write in your own words. We will use Turnitin, and this will check for plagiarism. So if you copy something off the net or if you copy from each other's assignment, that will show up as a red flag on Turnitin, and you will end up getting a failing grade for this assignment. This paper will require time. It will require a lot of time doing background research, reading about the feedback loops and understanding them, and of course putting everything together does take a lot of time, effort, and a lot of thinking. So don't get frustrated. Make sure you don't leave things for the last minute. Take one piece at a time, and I'm pretty sure you can do it. Make sure to manage time effectively and efficiently. And at this point of the semester, you have mastered so much, right? Physiology was all about putting the puzzle together. So I expect you to be very independent, especially when it comes to critical thinking and problem solving at this point. Please follow the rubric as I mentioned before, and you will have to turn in the document to Turnitin. I will not be reading a draft version of your paper. Citations are very important, and there is a document posted that explains how to write a scientific paper. Here is a YouTube link that will guide you with the citations. And hold on. So what are the different parts of the paper? Of course, the paper needs to have a title. And the title should be very, very specific and self-explanatory. If someone reads your title, he or she should be able to understand what you're trying to talk about in the paper. Now, it takes time. It takes time to come up with a good title, maybe a few trials. When I was a student and a scientist, I remember I was never ever happy with my titles, and I used to change it zillion times, honestly. Now, the second, next to title, you will have an abstract, which is pretty much the summary of the paper. And since it's a summary, I recommend that you save it for the last, because after you put everything together, then you kind of, work on the abstract. Although summary, abstract is a super brief explanation of everything that you put in your paper. Then introduction. Introduction is the heart of the paper. A good and detailed background information is extremely important, and this actually draws attention of the reader. Your introduction must include the following things: the mechanisms and feedback loops that actually leads us to the stimuli for the experimental drink. Please mention those. You need to read a couple of papers and cite them in the introduction. Again, please refer to the YouTube link in the previous slide that talks about how to do the citations. In the introduction must also have the hypothesis embedded. Remember, hypothesis is an if-then statement. For example, I can say that if I drink a lot of water, then my urine volume will increase considerably. And I will also have decrease in, what is that? Specific gravity of urine. Then materials and methods. This is nothing but a short explanation of how you did the steps, how you performed the experiments. Although you didn't perform the experiments, but your lab manual is a very good source because it is written pretty well. So if you just follow the steps and write those in your own words, that should suffice. Make sure that you write the methods in a way that someone else can actually read through and replicate the experiment if required. Now the results section is interesting. You will use your raw data. You can just copy from the chart that is posted for you. You can also include graphs, tables in the results section. And then if you make a graph, you have to make a graph, make sure you label every single component of the graph. In my opinion, just, focus on making the graph on your post lab and you can use the same graph for your paper. So at least you'll be done with the graph part. Then finally comes a discussion. This is where you will interpret the data and tie it to the feedback loops and try to explain your understanding of the material. Explain whether you support or reject your hypothesis at the end. And if you find any unexpected result or data, this is the place where you discuss it, and you can also explain how to improve this, or it's actually a place where you can troubleshoot. So that's all about the second part of your renal lab, which talks about the experimental drink. At any point, if something is unclear, feel free to reach out. But at this point, I really want you to spend a lot of time understanding the feedback loops and realizing how your body is working to bring things back into homeostasis when something is offset. Okay, so again, don't beat yourself up for this paper. Quality is really important. It can be short, but it has to be good quality. All right, thank you, class.